What's going on, wrestling fans? You have joined WrestlingRumors.net for Wrestling Warm-Up, the show that we bring to you every Monday night before Raw, and of course every Sunday night before the pay-per-views, which means this coming Sunday night, we need you to join us at 6 p.m. It's not 6:30 like it is on Mondays. It's at 6, so we can get a full hour in before the pay-per-view goes live itself. With the kickoff show at 7 p.m., we're going to go live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to join us then, and we're going to have a good time breaking down the Payback card. It's kind of crazy. We don't know the whole card yet, which sometimes WWE's been doing with us, giving us bits and pieces until the last week. Tonight is the go-home show for Payback, so I'm assuming we'll get the entire card laid out before us and put into stone. If not tonight, then during the tapings tomorrow night, which if you don't watch SmackDown on Thursday night, you can always go to WrestlingRumors.net on Tuesday night and get the spoilers. You can follow along with us live, or you can just make sure you go there around 11:15 p.m. depending on where they are in the United States of America or wherever they are. Obviously, if they're in Europe or anywhere overseas, we usually have those around 2 to 3 p.m. Going for you, since they're usually 5 or 6 hours ahead of us. But if they're on the West Coast, of course, they'll probably be live around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. But always check out our spoilers on Tuesday nights. We always have the latest latest correspondent with somebody at the arena. We always try to get someone that's actually live there to tweet at us, to correspond with us, send us some text, let us know what's happening, so we can give you the most in-depth and full spoilers, so you can just read and not have to watch on Thursday if you do something else on Thursday nights. But man, we have a pay-per-view Sunday, and we don't know what all is going to be going down on this thing, but I'm excited to see at least one match, and we'll talk about all this as we go forward. We got the Dailies joining us as always. What's going on, Adam? You doing all right, bud?
Good. What's going on, brother? Sam will be right down with us in a second too, so she'll be right.
Cool, like it. Yeah, so we got Raw tonight. There's some things going down. First off, we have to talk about the news that broke earlier today, which if you haven't checked that out on WrestlingRumors.net, shame on you. It was we were one of the first sites that had it this morning. Daniel Bryan, who now it's starting, the picture's starting to become a little bit clearer about why he's been gone. And I'll lay it out for you guys. If you didn't read the story, you don't know what's going on. Let's talk about it. Daniel Bryan, of course, was pulled off the European tour in early April, about 30 days ago, and nobody would say why. They said that he was injured. It was a health precaution why they pulled him out. There were certain reasons why they pulled him off the tour, and they wouldn't go any further than that. There were reports about a concussion. There were reports about him still having nagging injuries from his neck that he, of course, had surgery for last year. There were all these sorts of reports coming out. No, it wasn't a concussion. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Like, what was the deal? Nobody knew. They used his injury as a tactic to turn Brie Bella face again to help the Bella twins get their face push going. They used the injury as a tactic for that, but they didn't go into detail about what it was. There were even reports about Daniel Bryan talking about maybe retirement because it's this nagging neck injury and all this kind of stuff. I'm now more inclined to believe if we see Daniel Bryan on Raw tonight, which I believe that we will, and the report states that he's supposed to compete Sunday at Payback now. Bryan has been cleared to wrestle again. If he's been cleared to wrestle and it's been 30 days, odds are the man suffered a concussion when he got busted open during the last time we saw him on TV, which was SmackDown right before, when they were in Europe. So we saw how many daggum stitches he had in his forehead. It just opened up a huge gash on his face. I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I think that he was probably just concussed, and WWE did not want to say that he was concussed because of the lawsuits that are out there against him. We know that they've asked Seth Rollins to stop doing the curb stomp. They've removed it from his Titantron. He's not doing that move anymore right now. It will probably come back when the lawsuits are gone, as what we reported last week. Also, at the same time, they cut it out of the Roman Reigns video. They cut the whole finish of WrestleMania out, where you see him jump in the air, and then boom, it's a picture of him freaking out about winning the title. No curb stomp seen here. It's one of those things where it's obvious to me that it was probably a concussion, and WWE is just trying to downplay that things happen. These things happen in this industry. Like, concussions go hand in hand with the wrestling business. I I don't know many people who have been in it for a while that have never suffered a concussion. Vince McMahon himself would tell you that he's suffered multiple concussions doing the things that he's done. And I think it's funny that WWE was just trying to keep it really, really quiet because because of the lawsuits that they have pending against them. Guys, what do you think? Do you think Daniel Bryan? We know he's probably going to be on the show tonight. Some guys in the chat room now are saying maybe he appears tonight to retire, but that just negates the whole fact that he's going to be wrestling on Sunday, which we know is probably going to happen, at least from the reports that we saw today. What do you guys think? Daniel Bryan comes back tonight. You think it was a concussion that kept him out? It's been 30 days.
I love the idea because I thought that they weren't going to really, because it's been this whole back and forth with Daniel Bryan being gone, or they going to strip him of the title because he can't compete, he's injured. And I've been saying this whole time, maybe he's not that injured, just keep the title off him. Maybe that's why they brought back King of the Ring, just to give it a little bit more time away as a distraction from Daniel Bryan being injured. So I love the fact that how this is playing out simply because it's what I thought it was going to be. But, I see him coming back and wrestling on Sunday. Like you said, it could have just been a concussion and them keeping him out just to make sure that he's healthy. It's simple logic.
It's probably a mixture of both, to be honest. I think that definitely with the 30 days is suspect. We know that that's a concussion. And if they have all those lawsuits out, they're not going to announce that their top star, whether people want to admit it or not, Daniel Bryan's the face of WWE. I think, an argument can be made about John Cena, obviously, too. That's like 1-2 right now. But Daniel Bryan is over in every city that they go to. So people know him. He's such a big name. If they say, well, he's out because of a concussion, people that are suing then can piggyback off that and say, well, there's your top star right there. He's out right now with a concussion, So I think for them, it was better to kind of keep it hush-hush. King of the Ring, I agree with you, absolute distraction. That way it did kind of take people's minds off of Daniel Bryan for a minute. But I think this screams concussion, and I do think there's other variables still playing in, but with it being 30 days like this, I agree. This screams concussion. They just didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and I think the lawsuits is an even bigger, flashing red light that says this was a concussion. And the initial report from Mike Johnson was pretty straightforward. His sources have been really on point as of late. The things that he's reported have come true left and right. So I think it was Meltzer that disputed it and said that it wasn't a concussion; it was the neck injury. And man, that's I don't know if it's that. I really don't. I really think it was just a concussion. Otherwise, he wouldn't be cleared to compete on Sunday. Now the question is, with the way that the storyline has been going, and it's part of the 5-point preview for Raw on WWE.com tonight. For Raw, I think we're going to see King Barrett and Sheamus again going against Dolph Ziggler and Neville in some way, shape, or form. The underdogs versus the King, and of course the guy that wants to destroy the underdogs. I think this is the perfect place for Bryan to return in this. If it's not just a run-in here, if he actually does appear in a segment, I think they should do a segment since he's been gone for so long. It should just be Daniel Bryan in a segment. I don't know if he should do a run-in and just only do a run-in, if he does a run-in at all. Obviously, the last time we saw Bryan, he was interacting with Sheamus and Barrett and was with Neville and Ziggler in that sense. But this just bears the question: do we get Barrett versus Bryan on Sunday? Like, Barrett was the number one contender. Obviously, if Bryan wasn't going to be able to go, we were either going to get a tag match between Sheamus and Barrett versus Ziggler and Neville. Now do we just move on to Sheamus versus Ziggler and have Neville just sit out at this pay-per-view and have Bryan versus Barrett?
I don't know. I would assume that's the match they're going with, since that was the one that was taken off last pay-per-view. That's where they pick up with it. But I don't really see them leaving Neville off the card with how good his matches have been.
Yeah, I think if they're still running with the Neville angle, I think we still need to see the third match to finish the trilogy of matches. But at the same time, this complicates things, Daniel Bryan coming back right now, because there's no real program for him to slip into as easily as when he left,
Unless they make it a triple threat sometime.
That's what I was thinking, maybe, a multi-competitor type match, something that way. It also, I think, is going to depend on whether or not they want to take the title off of Bryan or not, because if they want to keep the title on Bryan, then they have to kind of be picky and choosy about who his opponent is. Now, if he is a little more injured than what we know. If it wasn't just a concussion, if there was more on top of the concussion, but the concussion is what held him out for the 30 days so that he couldn't at least just drop the title. Then maybe we see Barrett, but would you give Barrett King of the Ring and the Intercontinental title back-to-back in a row like that? I'd rather see them separated so that maybe Neville ended up getting the, and I'm not saying right now or this Sunday, but Neville got the Intercontinental Championship, then he could battle with Wade Barrett and kind of go head-to-head that way. Is that going to happen? No. But from a fan standpoint, that's what what I would like to see at least. But I don't know. This complicates things a little bit, I think.
It complicates them, but at the same time, I understand what they're trying to do with bringing Bryan back. Again, like you said, he is the most popular superstar in the company, and it's a free month. And the pay-per-view has a fatal four-way main event between four guys that the fans have been hot and cold on for a while, and it's a give or take whether or not they're super into one or not, and you have the guy that everyone's super into able to wrestle. You're going to put him on the card, period. So I don't know if they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do match-wise. I would assume they're going to do Barrett, but then where does Neville go? That's my only question, and we'll find that out maybe tonight. Maybe Bryan comes out to do an interview and someone just comes out and hotshots him, as someone in the chat room was saying. Maybe they hotshot a match out of that, and then we get to Barrett and Bryan after the Neville match or something. I don't know. But I would be surprised if they gave the King of the Ring the Intercontinental title straight out the chute. If they do that, Bryan's got some more issues,
Right.
and if they're taking the title off of him this quick.
And I was gonna say they could always work something where Sheamus and Wade Barrett basically just take out Neville backstage, completely wipe him out of the picture. They could say, well, they beat up Neville backstage, now they're going around beating up all the small guys backstage. Yeah, you know how we're going to play that, and then enter Daniel Bryan and say, okay, you want to play bully? One of you take me on Sunday. So you still have Ziggler and Sheamus that you can do off to the side. That's how you can take Neville out without really hurting him, because then he'd lose a match. It's just a backstage segment took him out. And then you can slip Daniel Bryan right back into that. So maybe that's a way.
No, I like that. I like that a lot, because then Neville's even more of an underdog when he comes back from getting beat down and enters back into the fold. He's got some more popularity. People are interested to see him get his comeuppance, if you will, get revenge on either Sheamus and or Barrett, whoever takes him out. We've talked about it for weeks. The whole plan of Sheamus coming back was to feud with Daniel Bryan. And of course they were going to do the Intercontinental title match and then move on to Sheamus versus Bryan. I could still see them doing an Intercontinental title match between Bryan and someone, whether it's Barrett or not, and then have Sheamus interrupt and start, on Sunday, interrupt the match. Because I don't, if they're not going to move the belt onto Barrett, it's going to be a disqualification, and Bryan's going to keep the title but get beat down by Sheamus, and they're going to try to play it off for a couple weeks so that we start this Sheamus Bryan feud. Who, this is the feud that the company's wanted to do for the last 2 years. They really wanted to get some more money out of a Daniel Bryan Sheamus feud. And when Sheamus returned in 2014, he was supposed to be heel and work Bryan at WrestleMania 30, and we all know how that worked out. Thank you, CM Punk, for leaving. We got what we wanted. But that's how that played out, and that's where we are. And people in the chat room are complaining. Yes, there's only 2 confirmed matches so far. For Payback, but I can guarantee you tonight the rest of the card's going to get laid out. I could go ahead and predict the card for you, but what kind of fun would that be? We're going to talk about some other things for Raw, and then I'll predict the card for you for Sunday, because that'll be fun for all 3 of us to go through and talk about what we think is going to happen. Obviously, the 2 matches that are confirmed, as I said, the Fatal 4-Way main event, and then the other big championship match, the U.S. title, on the line in an I Quit match, Rusev versus John Cena, and of course Sable 2.0 at ringside, gonna pull something out of her hat to, impress the women that want to be her and all the men who came to see her. Lana at some point is gonna be splitting off and going her own way. We all know that Sam hates the idea of her coming out as an American that's been playing with a Russian accent. But it's going to happen. Have you come to terms that this is going to happen yet, or are you still just so angry that they may even do it?
No, I'm refusing to believe it until I see it. I will not believe it till I see it.
What are you going to do when you actually see it?
I have faith in the WWE that they won't do this to me. I have faith, okay?
But you realize that she's so marketable outside of the Russian gimmick, right?
Well, yeah, but I like her Russian gimmick.
And listen, she's very intelligent too. That's another thing that they can really
but
piggyback off of her. I mean, you know, when
that's just such a stupid storyline to say. Oh, I wasn't really Russian the whole time. I'm really American.
But they do it with everybody.
So
they did it with Kofi Kingston. He was Jamaican.
Yeah.
And then, like
and
that, his
how
accent's
long
not-
was Kofi Kingston a joke?
Hey,
Two episodes.
Kane wasn't a dentist.
Right, exactly.
That's true.
Kane had some effed up teeth when he was Isaac Yankem. He has fine teeth now. I mean, I'm just throwing things out there. He went from a dentist to fake Diesel to Kane.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. They've given some crazy stuff to some people and just cut their hair or changed their accent left and right. They've done it. I mean, Conan obviously isn't from the moon. I don't know if anybody didn't realize this, but he
was from the moon this whole time.
you know, Scott Hall was not Latin and not from Miami.
No.
I thought he was from Cuba. No.
Well, you know, he migrated from Cuba to Miami in the hot spot. You know, Chico. It's what I've seen them go this route plenty of times where, oh, this person doesn't have an accent anymore, and it's always bothersome. It always irks me to some degree if they don't completely change the thing. That's like with Kane, it was a little bit more understandable. He was blonde-headed and in a gimmick with bad teeth, and when he changed to fake Diesel, obviously you knew it wasn't Kevin Nash, but you didn't go, holy crap, that's Isaac Yankem, until you really got a good look at it. Like, unless you were really studying, holy crap, this guy was Isaac Yankem, you didn't realize that. And then, of course, Kane came back with a mask, and he didn't talk, and when he did, he had a voice box. That's them doing a good migration of gimmicks to where it's not obviously a slap in the face. Kofi Kingston was a slap in the face.
Yes.
This guy's talking with a Jamaican accent, and then he's not.
Lana will be a slap in the face, though. I fear that they're not going to do a good transition into a new gimmick.
Here's the thing, though. We're overlooking one giant thing. This happens to be a very attractive female that's about to drop a Russian accent and go into an American gimmick. People are going to forget like that.
Yep.
It's guys are going to forget like that. Guys don't care. And honestly, how long can the Lana character really go? That's for me. I think we're at about the glass ceiling with the Lana character. She's bigger than the Lana character, and she can do a lot more for the company. Like I said, I mean, you know, and we know they love their blondes, but if you go back and you look through some of the figureheads of the Divas division, Lana is super intelligent. I mean, she can speak several different languages. She grew up abroad. You know, I mean, so she's not only cultured, she's intelligent. She's the kind of woman that you would want to market around. You know, she's intelligent, she's beautiful, she's powerful, she's tough. That's the kind of woman, you know.
I'm just afraid they're going to give her this blonde bimbo gimmick, and that's
not
what I want.
You're afraid they're going to turn her into Sunny?
Kelly is what she's afraid of.
I don't like Kelly.
She won't say it, but she's Kelly. Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go Kelly route. I think she's got Sunny and Sable written all over her.
Well,
she's got more of the Sunny thing.
Like Pamela Anderson from Baywatch, that just screams blonde bimbo to me.
Well, no, they're not.
Slow motion.
They're not wanting to turn her into Pamela Anderson from Baywatch. They're wanting to use the name because Vince thinks that people will connect that to Pamela Anderson's.
Connect that is that she comes out in slow motion in a bikini every week. This is the only way.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. The only way that goes down is everyone's gonna know. Okay, I'm googling this girl, and then they're just gonna see tits.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, that's the whole argument that China's not in the Hall of Fame because Triple H doesn't want kids to look up and see China gargling some dude's hog. They're gonna look up CJ Parker or CJ Perry, whatever her damn name is. CJ Perry. They're gonna look up CJ Perry, and boom, there's her boobs.
Yep.
There's her grinding on money. Like, it's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be the same thing.
There's a little hypocrisy there. I agree. There's a ton of hypocrisy there.
Well, it's not technically nudity. It's implied nudity.
No, there's some nudes.
Oh no, she's full on nude in some of these.
I did not see those. I just saw that she's implied.
You need to check Frank Manzo's Twitter page. Because if you did, you'd see full-on nudes of Lana every single week. That happens.
Apparently, I got some Googling to do tonight.
I'm telling you, they're there. She was in a couple TV shows and movies where she just bare it all. And then of course, she had some model shots where she's bearing all. Hey, kids, Don't look up Lana on Google, or at least do it with the parental whatever.
Everything you just said, completely retract from what.
Yes, please don't listen. Don't look up China either.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, don't look up She-Hulk China. Please don't look at that. But yeah, I think they're gonna do this Mark Mero Sable gimmick. I mean, I've been comparing it to that since we started getting the "We Want Lana" chants, and the way he's sending her back, to the locker room. It's the complete same dynamic as Mark Mero and Sable. I just hope, and I've said it to you guys, and I will say it again, and I will keep saying it on Twitter every single Monday night. By God, if this kills Rusev, I'm going to throw something through a freaking TV screen, because at no point should he be resorted to what Mark Mero was when he lost Sable. Period. Rusev's too good of a character and too strong of a dude to allow this whole the chicks leaving me thing to kill him. But I'm very scared that it will.
Yeah.
I don't think that it will. I think they're going to do their best to protect Rusev to make sure that doesn't happen. They've invested so much time and effort and money into him. He's protected. They won't let that happen at all.
And I think the thing about Rusev compared to a lot of the other big guys that they have is Rusev moves really, really well in the ring. I mean, I don't think there's anybody can deny his ring work. And eventually that pays off. So, I'm sure he'll have a little down dip after Lana leaves. Every character always does when there's some sort of split. But I think they'll protect him in a way that he's built up so well. I am somewhat afraid, though. I'm afraid he's going to get left in the cracks again, just because as soon as it always seems like they let something good go. Anytime they have a strong character, because this is a strong heel that generally people hate. It's not a heel. It's not a cool type of heel that you're getting your 50-50 crowd off of. I mean, I love Rusev, but I'm in the 10% that loves Rusev. You know what I mean?
Too. Yeah.
This is one of the few true heels that they have. If he suffers with that even I think weakens the heel, the gallery of heels that they have even more. So they'd have to push him to the next level.
Well, let's talk about the gallery of heels, because this is part of the reason why I believe we're getting this fatal four-way match at Payback, and we're going to see some more of this from these four guys tonight. The WWE World Heavyweight Championship is on the line Sunday in a fatal four-way. We saw Dean Ambrose get swerved and thrown into the mix last Monday. That was a nice little surprise that we're getting Dean Ambrose in there. We said it on this show last Monday. What the heck does Dean Ambrose do at Payback? Is he going to be wrestling Kane? Because nobody wants to see him wrestle Kane, which I hate because I love Kane. I just hate this. The last 2 years of Kane have been utterly miserable and a waste of time. But I'm glad that we got Dean Ambrose thrown in this mix. It shows me that the company is still looking high on him. We've got 3 members of the Shield, which I believe will be the main event at WrestleMania 32, in a match together to remind everybody these guys have history, which they never should have let anyone forget. In this entire program of the Authority with Seth Rollins and with Roman Reigns going against the Authority, and with Dean Ambrose having issues with the Authority, there should have been. I still say Dean Ambrose should have tried to come out and thwart Seth Rollins at WrestleMania because of how many times he said he was never going to let him cash in the Money in the Bank, but they screwed the pooch on that. But I think this at least tries to bring it back to the root of the Shield. It was a year ago, almost a month ago when the Shield broke up, or almost a year ago next month. It'll be 2 weeks from now. It will be the anniversary of the Shield's breakup. They're going to try to remind everybody these guys have history. Randy Orton's in the mix. He has elbow pads now, so of course he's a face, and he's trying new things. But Randy Orton, who just turned face upon his return, doesn't need to go back to being a heel, even though the company needs better top-tier heels. Like, we need some more main event heels. We don't get enough Bray Wyatt to really consider him to be a heel. We get him doing backstage promos that everyone marks out for, and then, of course, everything else, doing what you got to do. It's one of those things where it's beyond me how many times we could see Big Show flip back and forth, and I hope they don't. They're not going to do that with Randy Orton. I hope we don't get an immediate flip back to heel, but we need some more credible heels. So throwing Ambrose in the mix can allow either Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns to turn heel. Now, if Roman Reigns turns heel in this match, I would be utterly surprised, happy, because it's been what the fans have been pushing towards. It would be organic and make more sense. But it would surprise me because I still think Vince just doesn't want to get off his high horse and allow that to happen. But Dean Ambrose could also turn heel. I'm not saying he's going to align with the Authority necessarily, but maybe he screws, Randy Orton and Roman Reigns somehow. Maybe he does kind of team up with Rollins a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen here. But this, at least the Fatal 4-Way, at least allows for the possibility of us to get a new main event top tier level heel, which we desperately need in the company. What do you guys think? Do you see Ambrose more, or do you see Reigns finally turning? What do you think here on Sunday?
Completely agree with you. I would really want Reigns to turn because it just seems like he would be more organic as a heel. But I don't see them actually turning him because, like you said, Vince is probably just too stubborn and wants him to work too bad. So I can really see Ambrose turning heel, if at all. I mean, maybe none of them turn heel.
No, I think somebody's turning. I think it's a double-edged sword because if you go with Reigns, which seems to be the more logical choice, then the comparisons to The Rock are going to come in, tenfold. Pushed as a clean baby face, didn't get over, turn him heel, then all of a sudden he gains popularity as a heel.
Is that a bad thing? I mean,
no,
just look at The Rock's
no.
popularity.
Absolutely
if you want
not.
to compare him to The Rock, that would be amazing for him.
It would be, exactly, and I think logically that would make more sense. Now that's logically. I think what they're really going to do
you got
is
WWE logic. Now.
WWE logic. I actually think that even though I think it's riskier, I think they're turning Ambrose. And I think that he works better heel, but my fear is that he's going to be the cool heel now that everybody wants to cheer for. They're going to really have to separate him somehow. Because I think that if anybody, they're going to push Reigns. They're going to make sure Reigns succeeds regardless. They're going to package him in a way that eventually he is going to connect and people are going to get behind him. We've been complaining about Dean Ambrose being stuck in somewhat of a limbo state for months now. Maybe even upwards since the Shield broke up. Why not flip him heel for a couple months? If the crowd hates him, good. You built your next big-time heel. If it's the cool type of heel, well, then you know what? You can flip him back just as well. And now you've established another megastar. I think Ambrose has more to gain out of it, so I think Ambrose is the guy they flip.
And see, I think either one works, and I personally believe that Roman Reigns has more to gain out of it because of the way that The Rock did it. And comparisons will come left and right. That's cool. But if WWE really wants Roman Reigns to be the next hot babyface, they've got to turn him heel and make him a badass and not cheesy. Like that it has to happen. He has to become the heel that guys get behind because right now the guys want to boo him. And right. So if you want to turn him heel and let him be a utter badass who just trash talks everybody, which is what happened with The Rock, and allow fans to get behind him naturally. That's what they have to do. And if they want to use him as the champion moving forward from WrestleMania 32, I think it has to happen. We have to have a heel turn, and then we have to have that organic face turn from that. You can flip flop Dean Ambrose all you want. He's a hot character, man. The fans love him. You can flip him back and forth. He's got a crazy side, so I wouldn't be surprising. But at the same time, the guy that, in my opinion, the guy that would benefit it the most would be Roman Reigns, and he does it. He won't have to talk so much if he's a heel, and when he does talk, he can freaking berate the crowd for booing him instead of saying, well, they can think what they want, because that's what The Rock did.
Right.
The Rock pulled out the whole die Rocky die stuff and started telling screw you guys, I don't need you guys. And then in another slap in the face, he started calling himself the People's Champion.
Right, and Reigns has been doing a great job when he's been able to play off the crowd himself. He's been doing a fantastic job, I think. He's having trouble going out there and reading something that's already prepared for him. And in a way, why would you want to handcuff somebody that can naturally play off the crowd? And to your point, I absolutely think that I'll say this.
That's why they have to handcuff him. Yeah, he plays well off the crowd, but in a heel manner. And when they're trying to have him be a huge baby face,
right,
you can't have him do that.
Absolutely, and that's why, I think logically, it would make more sense. I'm just, but it's funny, I went back and watched the Rumble from 2014 because everybody's saying, everybody wanted Roman Reigns to win that Rumble. Here's the one thing I noticed. Out of the 3 members of the Shield, when they made their entrance at the Rumble that year in 2014 in Pittsburgh, Roman Reigns got the least amount of crowd response whenever it was his time. So, and when it came down to the final 3, Sheamus, Batista, and Roman Reigns, the entire arena was booing. So the crowd has never been behind Roman Reigns other than when it was just Roman Reigns versus Batista at the end of the Royal Rumble. So you would think by now, I mean, this is, what, 15, 16 months now of people saying we don't want him as a face, turn him heel. And that's the only thing that where, for me, I feel like they're going to turn Ambrose instead, because they should have turned Roman Reigns, I agree with you guys, before
in January.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's the thing. You have exactly what you said. And I have argued with Frank Manzo on this program, on his program, left and right about this situation where he and John consistently say that Roman Reigns was getting cheered at the Royal Rumble, and instead of just saying Roman Reigns was getting cheered at the 2014 Royal Rumble because he was the last resort to not have Batista win. Right. He was not being cheered before that. Outside of when he eliminated the other two guys of the Shield, he got a pop because we finally saw a crack in the Shield, if you will. Right. Because that's where that came from. But it wasn't that the fans wanted him to win until it was just between him and Batista.
Exactly.
So I completely agree with you. This should have been done a long time ago, and bringing Daniel Bryan back in December just screwed the pooch with everything. Because Roman Reigns was getting cheered when he was in his first singles match with Randy Orton. He was getting cheered, and then he got injured and had to go away. When they brought him back, he was no longer the badass from the Shield. He was this cheesy character, and John Cena 2.0, which pissed people off. And we don't want that. We don't want another John Cena. You cannot be cookie cutter and succeed, which is why Daniel Bryan is the most popular kid in the company, because he's not cookie cutter. Now, he can be cheeseball as hell, but that's just who he is. It seems super genuine that he's that cheesy. Exactly. So, I don't feel like it's fake when Daniel Bryan's being cheesy. It's super fake when Roman Reigns tries to do it. And I want to give John Cena some freaking credit. And if anybody that wants to say John Cena is not a good worker and is not one of the best on the microphone, you're an idiot. Because last week, he's getting booed out of the freaking building, and everybody knew in Montreal that Sami Zayn was about to come out. And they're olaying already. They are totally against John Cena, and he's still persistent as hell, gets that fan base to turn around and start cheering at the end of his promo. There's not many superstars out there that can do that. There's not. The other ones will just crumble under the hate and just be like a deer in headlights. Like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Because they're supposed to be cheering me, and they're not. Cena just persistently kept on them until they started cheering, and people don't give him any credit.
And there was a lot of little nuances in that match too that people didn't pick up on. Like whenever he first hit the ring, if you guys notice, whenever he normally puts the title belt up above his head, he was standing with his back towards the crowd, towards the hard camera, holding the title up that way like he used to do in the Dr. Thungonomics days, things that we haven't seen since he was a heel.
Oh, yeah.
He was doing little heel tactics during the match, rolling from underneath the ropes, escaping Sami Zayn, different things like that. He knew that night he was going to be a heel. Mm-hmm. So he pulled little things out of the bag that he's not used to doing. John Cena, over the past year, has amazing. I mean, I used to be very anti-Cena. Obviously the character, guys. We always have to say it's the character, not the actual individual. But I was so anti-Cena, it wasn't funny. Over the past year, I've actually really enjoyed pretty much every program he's been in. So I can't, I'm happily eating crow with Cena. But to your point, that shows you how much of a complete professional he is.
Right, and Jazz is over here in the chat room. Just all he does is talk about sport teams. Sorry, that's not impressive. They were still booing him when he started talking about sports teams, and he just kept on and kept on and kept on until they started cheering. That, to me, shows the persistence of an actual performer, and I love the fact that he does Barry Horowitz for Hall of Fame. He does a reverse heel promo, and it's fantastic because it works. It absolutely works. And I agree completely with the fact that it's just like he knows when he's going to be the heel in a match. Look at what he did in Chicago with CM Punk in 2011. We got heel Cena then. What did we get when Cena versus Rock in Once in a Lifetime, the first one? We got heel Cena for the 2 weeks leading up to that.
Cena RVD at One Night Stand.
Yeah.
Same thing. You know what I mean? Same exact thing.
This is why it's not a requirement that he turns heel. It's just a requirement when they pair him with somebody that they know is going to be way over as a babyface for him to pull out his heel tactics.
Well, we've been saying this for the longest time. They're getting the best of both worlds with Cena. They're getting a heel out of Cena to every adult. So for anyone saying, when is he turning heel, if you're asking that, he's turned heel on you and you haven't realized it. He is a heel to you. The only one he's really still face towards is kids. He's marketed so well that what he's saying is driving adults nuts. but at the same time, he's getting the children's crowd pop, and you know, some of the women still. He's the best of both worlds. I mean, you could argue that he could be on certain nights, he's either the top heel or the top face, depending on what city that they're in. You can't say that about anybody else on the roster, and that's why John Cena is. And like I said,
he has the most polarizing crowd.
Yeah, I'll happily eat crow when I'm proven wrong, and I'm very wrong about John Cena. That's why he is really the cornerstone of WWE. You know, when you can pull that crowd, no matter what city you go to, you know you're either getting 100% hate, you're getting 50-50. Regardless, you're getting something. There's nobody else in the company that does that.
No.
You know, even Daniel Bryan, I mean, people that don't like Daniel Bryan, they just sit on their hands. They don't boo Daniel Bryan. You know, they're just like, yeah, whatever. Cena's the only guy that you could really say people are always. And as much as people want to keep complaining about him, we still either boo him or we still either cheer him, you know?
But it is, I mean, it's nice to know, like, it's funny to me how everybody talks about the yes chant has taken a life of its own, just like the what's from Stone Cold Steve Austin, where I mean, Montreal did it last week. It wasn't Daniel Bryan was nowhere to be found, but they still chanted yes, and that just goes to show the fans have adopted that as something they want to do. One of the biggest things that the fans has adopted as of late, especially last week in Montreal, and what we've seen since, well, it's probably started with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam last year. Is the John Cena Sucks song to his theme music, which was something that the fans got involved with in like Kurt Angle's theme with the "You Suck" chants in the middle of the breaks. Now it seems like, and it's been consistent on Raw as of late as well, it seems like the fans have gotten behind, hey, this is just something cool that we can do during this guy's entrance, and it's going to make him look like a heel, but we're still going to do it because it's fun. He's still entertaining us. We still get to do it. Exactly. Even when Kurt Angle was a heel, everybody still loved Kurt Angle because he was an amazing worker. You respected the hell out of the guy, but you still said "you suck" in his entrance music. That's why they changed his entrance music when he was a face, so you couldn't do it anymore.
Right. There were times in Pittsburgh, Kurt Angle was so good. I mean, it being a heel. There were times in Pittsburgh. I remember being at a SmackDown taping. This was right after Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers. I think everyone in America knows who Mr. Rogers' neighborhood is, from Pittsburgh, and this was like the same week that Mr. Rogers passed away. The real life Mr. Rogers. Long story short, they had to cut before they went back, live or back to taping. Angle had to cut a promo with the world's greatest tag team, basically just crapping all over Mr. Rogers just to get any kind of heat when he got out there. And that was for the spot where his brother actually was in there. Lesnar attacked his brother. Angle was hiding under the ring. So it was actually for that segment. And it's like, man, granted it's his hometown still, but. It's one of them things where sometimes you just have to nudge the crowd a little bit, and we know that we're still going to somewhat cheer for Angle, but because you're now talking about other Pittsburgh things, we know what we want you to do, and now we're going to do it.
Yeah, and I think they're doing that with John Cena left and right, which just goes to show he's still one of the most entertaining superstars on the roster, and I think he's doing a good thing with the U.S. Title Open Challenge. I've said it since he got the belt. It's a requirement on Raw right now. It literally, and what goes to show last week, how great that segment was, even with Sami Zayn not having two arms. He still put on a heck of a match with just one arm. To me, man, it just goes to show he is building the superstars of tomorrow, at least pulling out some of these guys that he really wants to work with and running with it. Heath Slater has been a topic of conversation over the last 3 weeks, and he's not even getting a match. But they're at least including him because he can entertain and can get people to get a response. People respond to Heath Slater. Now, obviously, it's in a negative fashion for the most part, but at least people respond. And I think we're gonna get that again tonight. I think Heath Slater comes out to try to get a match and something thwarts him. It's whatever, Heath Slater's the ultimate. We're just gonna kill you and not actually give you what you want. I mean, look at the leading up to Raw 1000 where he's taking on all the legends. And he gets beat by everybody, including Lita. He's the ultimate. We're going to use you because we think you're entertaining, but you're just the Brooklyn Brawler. You're just a jobber that we're going to get over because you can entertain people. So even Heath Slater is getting a rub off of this U.S. Title Open Challenge, which is awesome. Yeah. He knows his place. He's going out there to be comedic and get shot in the face by somebody. He knows it.
And Slater's going to slate.
And
Hater's going to.
And every Cena match now seems like it means something. Every Cena match feels like it's even though we know he's not dropping the title, especially when it's the Open Invitational, it still feels big. Like every false finish, it feels like, wow, maybe they actually are, And I do think it's helping elevate some of the younger talent. I really do.
Yeah, and I like the fact you can tell the guys that he's been pulling out to do these matches with are guys that he's said in previous interviews that he thinks have a lot of potential, and they're just not getting their time to shine. Guys like Cody Rhodes and Stardust and like Sami Zayn, and of course Barrett was one, Ambrose was one. These are guys that he's wanted to work with, and now he's allowing that to happen on a weekly basis. We know that those guys aren't going to win the title because there's already a title match set for the pay-per-view. Not to mention there's live events next week after the pay-per-view where he's going to be in a steel cage with Rusev. So hopefully that's just because they don't have the next program set in mind yet, like set in stone, and not that we're going to continue. I think this has to be the end for Rusev and John Cena on Sunday. But I'm interested to see where they go. Who's going to be the next legitimate competitor for the U.S. title after Rusev and Cena at the I Quit match? Because I would assume that they have to continue using John Cena as U.S. champion to keep this U.S. Open Challenge going even past Sunday. And as I've said numerous times, I would love to see John Cena finally give up, but he's the king of never give up. So I just can't put my money against it. And there's tons of people that can get involved in this U.S. title thing. Now, talking about titles, one of the most entertaining things from last week's Monday Night Raw was the New Day, and it literally, they were perfect. We said it last week on this show. They had to be over the top. They had to be obnoxious. They had to be in your face. They had to be on camera a lot. And what do we get? They're in the opening segment, and then they're in every single backstage interview segment after that. They are ridiculously obnoxious. Xavier Woods and freaking Kofi Kingston put Big E up in a cheerleading stance and yelled at Nikki Bella about winning their match. Like, there's nothing better than that, man. And then they just pop up in other people's segments, just holding the belts and smiling. Like, they've gone to prove they can do this. They need to be doing it. They need to be on there. So, to me, the tag division's getting a little bit better. It's getting a little bit tweaked to where you have a really good babyface team in Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. Cesaro are awesome in the ring. They're allowing them to be faces now, which is awesome. The fans are super behind them, especially when they pull out the big swing into the drop kick. Awesome finish for that tag team. They need to allow them to keep being entertaining with the New Day and keep cutting promos with the New Day because it's awesome. And now we're getting, Lucha Dragons are up there now with the tag teams. They're very, very entertaining to watch. Los Wastes are still wastes. They've been doing really entertaining backstage stuff with primetime players, but not giving them matches on Raw. They're getting superstars matches. I'd like to see them come out and do something good because those two guys are very entertaining backstage, and I think they could do some really good stuff with the New Day and Cesaro in the ring or just face-to-face at least, instead of just doing random stuff. But you got Los Wastes and the Ascension just stinking up the joint. So, of course, now to have some new tag team players, they're bringing back Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, putting them back together, which to me is what they I think they finally realized. Eric Rowan is not marketable by himself. I'm sorry, I said it from the minute the Wyatt family came up to NXT or came up from NXT. Me and Frank talked about it on multiple occasions. When they do finally break up, Bray Wyatt's going to be a success. Luke Harper has potential to be a success, and Eric Rowan's going to get lost in the weeds. And that's exactly what we saw. They tried to make him a major player at the Survivor Series, being on Team Cena, that was just to put him against Luke Harper and try to do a feud there, which didn't work. And now they've realized we've got this guy that can work. He's a good worker, and the sheet mask is something that everybody knows, and everybody has already taken in, and they know that you can market the sheet mask, but you can't market Eric Rowan. You just can't. Even though I dig his theme music and I think that he's a good worker in the ring, he's getting lost in the shuffle because there's nothing for him. So, in my opinion, they got smart and said, okay, let's put Luke Harper and Eric Rowan back together as a tag team, and then we have a towering tag team of brawlers that could be in there with these high-flying, crazy move-doing, lighter heavyweight tag team competitors, and it's going to give the tag team division what the Ascension should have brought to it. It's going to give it some power. It's going to give it some muscle. Guys, what do you think about Eric Rowan and Luke Harper coming back together?
I agree with you. I had the exact same thought whenever the Wyatt family came up. I wasn't sure what they were going to do with Harper and Rowan once they actually split them apart. And they did really good as a tag team. They surprised me doing really good as a tag team. They kept the Wyatt family gimmick, and it was really good. But when they split them apart, that's where things kind of fell apart. I don't really think They tried to change Eric Rowan's gimmick, but still keep the sheet mask and what he wore, and it just wasn't work. It just didn't work at all. He had to have that specific Wyatt family gimmick, or it's just not going to work.
And he kind of got thrown in, I think, last minute because of Sheamus' injury there too.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so I think if that wouldn't have happened.
But they still planned on turning him face anyways.
Yeah, and Rowan isn't a face to me. Like Rowan isn't. They always talk about a look. Well, Eric Rowan doesn't have the face look. You know what I mean? Like they always say this person has a look, that person has a look. I think maybe this is kind of. We all know Luke Harper's going to be successful. I think in singles competition later on down the line. Luke Harper's going to be with that company for a while. I think Rowan is the one that kind of, we always talk about pink slip season in the middle of the summer and stuff like that. Is this, do you think maybe, I want to get your guys' opinion, a way to kind of reinvent Rowan again so that, buy him extra time, so to speak? Do you think maybe he was on a question mark type of deal because he hasn't been connecting?
Well, like you said, Doug, with the sheet mask, it's just so marketable. You don't want to get rid of that gimmick. So yeah,
you put the mask on somebody else, really.
Put him back with Harper and make him marketable again.
Right.
Yeah, and it adds another tag team to a division that's been struggling, and it's a tag team that guys actually were enjoying watching before they split them up. They're good together. They're really good together. They have a good chemistry. They're two just slobber knocking dudes that really go in there and beat people up. And we need that dynamic against the high flying stuff of. You got some tag teams that are very similar. Right now in the division. Now we have someone that's not super cheesy trying to be the aborted stepchildren of the Legion of Doom and Demolition. These guys are their own thing. Okay, they're not a carbon copy of an 80s gimmick. They're their own thing. They're something different. And I think that that's going to be a good addition to the tag team divisions, bringing those guys back together. And I do think that it's to buy Eric Rowan some time. I think they were doing a cut or fish, fish or cut bait situation with him where it was, all right, do we give this guy another shot or is he going to be one that we let go? Yeah, I agree, Barry Horowitz. Like, primetime players, when they were a tag team before, were sloppy wrestlers. I think I've watched a little bit of this. I've watched a little bit of their stuff on Superstars. Just they're getting better. Titus is still Titus O'Neil, who has a very marketable look and has charisma and can do good stuff in matches. He's just there's something about his coordination that's off. There's something about it that he does botch a good number of matches, or at least a spot in most of their matches has at least one botch in it because of how he works. And I hope that he gets better, because I think for PTP the reason that they threw Darren Young back in the mix with Titus was to try to give these two guys something to succeed, or else come June they're both going to be gone because there's a lot of guys from NXT ready to come up. Talking about that, there's a girl from NXT that's ready to come up. Vince has been wanting to bring up the former NXT Women's Champion Charlotte since he saw her before WrestleMania in California. He went to the NXT Live event in San Jose, apparently lost his mind at how good it was, because the man who owns the company hasn't watched or been to a freaking NXT TakeOver event yet.
Seen Charlotte work.
That blew my mind when I heard that. He had never seen anyone in NXT before. It's like, you own the company. You signed the checks, and you just have no idea what's going on.
Granted, but people had to have been saying, like, Vince, we need to get her up now, like, sooner than now, like 3 months ago now, Charlotte's been ready. I don't know what the holdup has been. It is surprising, it's like it took the weekend before Mania to finally say, oh, Vince, who's her? We need to bring her up now. Wait, she's been awesome how are you just now catching on?
Yeah, she had a match of the year candidate at the beginning of the year last year with Natalya.
Yep.
Like, two women outshined a lot of the guys on that card.
And Charlotte and Sasha Banks, they steal cards. You know what I mean? Like
the Fatal Four-Way, the Sasha Banks and Sasha Banks, Bayley, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. And I love Charlotte. I don't know if it's like, I don't think she's the hottest thing in the world, but I do at the same time. I don't know what it is. She's not.
Like
She doesn't
sexy Amazon woman.
yeah, she doesn't have the hottest face, but there's just something about her presence that just because she looks like Ric Flair, and that's the issue.
Exactly. That's what's so scary about it. You like look at her from behind, and she looks exactly like Ric Flair did in his prime. It's creepy as all get up.
But talk about marketability. You would think that would have been something that they would have been all. You would think they would have been checking her progress almost on a monthly basis, ready to pull her up, because marketing Ric Flair's daughter is instant. It's instant money. It's instant cash. I don't understand why they're just figuring out that she needs to be out.
Right, and we know that they're bringing her up. She teased that she's going to be there tonight. She's in Cincinnati. We don't know if she's working a dark match or if she's working superstars, but she's been working dark matches before the shows. Maybe tonight we get another NXT move up the roster, and we have Charlotte finally debut and add something to the mix for the Divas as well. We saw some new things last week with Tamina and Naomi, which I think that pairing is going to be awesome. Even though Naomi came out with dreadlocks, and I literally thought Miss Jackie returned for a little bit. First impression was, hey, holy crap, what is Jacqueline doing now? Oh, it's Naomi. And there's Lady Diesel with freaking mohawk. Like this is pretty awesome. So they're adding new elements, but think about it. The only credible divas they have right now, Natalia's in a program with the tag team champions. I wouldn't be surprised to see an intergender match between the New Day and Cesaro and Natalya at some point, just to get all three of the New Day working a match together. And, of course, Natalya can hang in there with anybody, including the men. I would like to see that. I wouldn't be mad at that. But, with the Usos gone, Naomi has gone her own way as the new major heel. Paige is off filming and won't be back until the end of the month. Charlotte coming up is a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. And they would be missing out on a great opportunity to bring her up right now. When you only have the Bella twins, Naomi and Tamina, who Tamina's been gone forever, so welcome back, Tamina. You have those four, and then you have who? Natalya, and she's stuck as a manager for a tag team.
Right, because they haven't showcased Emma. I mean, even though she's been doing NXT, not an Emma fan at all.
She's a great wrestler, but her gimmick sucks so hard.
That's what. As soon as they get her off of that stupid dancing gimmick, I think if they turn her
as a heel, though. They've been teasing her as a heel. It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, like I want to see her outside of the stupid dancing gimmick, like the airheaded like that gimmick, and then see at least give her some camera time. I mean. Can't be any worse than what we're seeing right now. Like they kept talking about this, give Divas a chance movement, and what have they been given a chance? Because
on the NXT they have.
The most exciting thing that's happened, like we talked about it last week, the most exciting thing that happened, with the Divas division in the past month was the little 2-minute run-in period that they had last week, like the program that they had last week where Tamina came back. That was the most exciting little segment that they've had, and it was only 2 minutes long.
Sure.
But the thing is to me is, and to get back on the Emma thing, with NXT girls getting more time, some of these girls have terrible gimmicks and they're getting a lot of time. Like they're trying to get over girls with awful gimmicks. I'm sorry, Bayley's an awesome wrestler. Her gimmick sucks.
It's terrible.
It's so bad, and it's not going to work on the main roster. It's not. It's not. You're going to appeal to 0.3% of the audience, little girls. Not going to work. And I think that was the same issue with Emma's gimmick. It appeals to 0.2% of the audience. Now, if they would have just brought her up as a credible wrestler, which they're going to do with Charlotte, and they can make Charlotte such a superstar, they're going to bring in Ric Flair to manage her for some things. They're going to reference her as bringing Flair to Raw, and it's going to be big. She's Ric Flair's daughter. She's instantly going to have a huge name on the main roster. It's easily going to sell merchandise. She's easily going to sell T-shirts. She's got the overall package. Emma could be so good as a heel. I agree, because she can do it. But I watch NXT religiously. I have watched it for the last 2.5 years since it started on Hulu. I have watched it ever since then. And never, at no point have I thought that stupid bubble-popping gimmick dance that she does coming out as a dumb blonde popping bubbles is going to work. And she snaps in the ring. Bayley's the same thing. She hugs you, and she's girly with her headband. And she's pissed off that Emma took her headband. Like, that was the gimmick for this past week's NXT. Like, that's the program.
like Alexa Bliss when she gets up there, her gimmick's not going to work on the main roster. You know what I mean? Like that's something.
No, that girl is so marketable because she's decent in the ring and she's got a great look. They can change her gimmick and be totally fine. This Dana Brooke, something's got to give. She's been on there for 2 weeks now, and something's got to change.
Yeah.
She just gets in there and poses the whole time. I understand she's a bodybuilder, and that's what they're going to use for her. But something's got to change there too. They're very hit or miss. Sasha Banks is going to make a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
With the boss gimmick, and everybody can chant like a boss at her, and she's an arrogant, over the top. Like I am, like basically she's basically Ric Flair. I've got the money. I'm the boss. I can, she can fly in jets. She can take limos. She can be I'm spending all this money and making it rain on people when she beats them. Do the like a boss thing. That's money.
Yeah.
But by God, you're a blonde that cuts a flip and shows off your not so impressive arm. Let me tell you something, Dana Brooke. If you want to be successful being a bodybuilder gimmick, you better get some implants or something and look like the Freakzilla. You better look like Big Papa Pump when you come out, or no one's going to give two shits because it's not good. It's just not. Sorry, rant. NXT, there are some really good gimmicks in NXT, and then there are some really bad ones.
Yes.
What do you think of blue pants? Blue pants.
Smart crowd. It's the smart crowd that love the blue pants thing. I think it's funny, but at the same time, I'm like, this chick she has an NXT contract, and she's never going to be on the main roster. And if she is, there's no way they can use blue pants as her gimmick. There's no way. There's no.
I hate it. I can't stand blue pants.
The only thing that I like about it is that she's announced from the clearance rack. I think that's the funniest thing in the world. I don't know why.
It's creative because they knew this girl was just brought into job, and the fans started chanting for her. They didn't even have a name for her when she got in there.
Nope,
just blue pants.
Nah.
Right.
So what do you want to do? Okay. Yeah, right.
Today.
Ridiculous, but I do expect to see Charlotte either on Superstars or on Raw tonight, and I'm very excited about that. They should give her a promo. I just don't think they're going to. It would be really nice if they gave her a promo, or at least a backstage segment where she gets to talk for a little bit. But I just I don't know if that's gonna go down.
With everybody, with the Bellas, it's Nikki and Brie Bella, they're talking about, it's a whole family thing. Then Naomi and the Usos, that's why she's with Tamina, the whole family thing. The only way I see Charlotte coming in is if she comes in with someone like family. Or she just comes in and takes out all the divas and says, "Oh, I'm just genetically superior."
Which is what they should do with her, to be honest.
Basically, F all y'all's family.
She should be the standard.
She's genetically superior.
She should end up being the standard of the divas division. I think her and Paige are gonna have a ton of fantastic matches. Add Natalya in there too. I think there's gonna be a ton of and that's what I've always said. I'd love to see a triple threat between Natalya, Charlotte, and Paige. All second generation wrestlers, all come from wrestling royalty, to some extent. I would love to see that triple threat match for the women's Divas Championship. It writes itself.
And I'm not gonna lie to you. At some point, I hope they get rid of the whole Divas title and get rid of the whole stupid butterfly belt. Yes. I like that NXT uses the women's championship as their thing. It just honestly, because all these girls coming from NXT are going to be the divas in the divas division, I don't understand why Triple H says, okay, well, let's make it the women's championship down here, and then they're going to go be divas. And it's because Vince McMahon's whole point of view on it is so skewed that it's an issue. Because just hearing women's championship sounds like it's more, like it actually means more than divas title.
Absolutely.
So at some point, especially now that Medusa has unthrown away the women's championship, now that she's returned the women's championship to WWE, maybe we actually get a return of the women's championship at some point. Sam, you were saying something.
Oh no, I was just saying I agree with you. I hate the Divas title. The women's title just seems more authentic and genuine and actual, like a real title. The Divas title with the stupid butterfly just doesn't look like a real title.
To me, it's a slap in the face of the women that compete for it. And I know it's a prop. We all know that titles are a prop, but at the end of the day, it looks like a belt buckle for a 14-year-old girl. You know what I mean? It's not. It doesn't look like a championship at all. And so in a way, it's like, what are you really competing for?
Which was the whole point in 2010. Like, that was the whole point. let's make a belt that we can sell to little girls since we're selling all these belts to little boys.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Let's make a toy belt
Yep.
that looks like something a little girl would want to wear.
So let's change it back so they can make a bunch of new money again.
Completely agree. You got to do it every now and then. You got to switch it up.
Yep.
So that's Raw in a nutshell and everything that's going to happen tonight. Predicting the card for Sunday before we get out of here. Honestly, we have the U.S. title match. It's an I Quit match. We have a fatal 4-way main event for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I expect to see, especially if we see Daniel Bryan tonight, I expect to see an Intercontinental title match. Whether he loses it or not, that's yet to be seen. Tag team title match, we had some guys in the chat room asking us to predict the tag team title match. I think it's going to be a straight-up match between New Day and Kid-Zaro. I don't think they're going to make it a triple threat. I don't think they're going to throw anybody else in there. If they throw anybody else in there, it's Natalya, and we're going to get that six-person intergender match. For the love of God, we saw how many interspecies match with stupid El Dorito with Natalya in there. I think we can actually have a real wrestling match with Natalya versus a real dude instead of a midget in a bull suit.
And again, the Freebird rule, perfect way to get the tag team title on her and Kid. I mean, there's never been a husband-wife tag team champion combo. Why not? Again, it's one of those where everything's lining up so perfectly. Pull the trigger on things like this. The fans will enjoy it. They can give the titles back to New Day eventually. And I'm not necessarily saying this pay-per-view, but I would like to see the Freebird rule. They're talking about it too much, and I know I'm talking about it too much. Like every show, I'm talking about it, but
it's relevant.
Yeah, I mean, but it's something, it makes sense right now, and I think it would be exciting for a lot of people. And it shows that women aren't pigeonholed in the Divas division either. It shows that they can compete with some of the guys.
And Bad News Burke, I've seen the rumors about El Torito becoming a Lucha Dragon, and it just makes me furious. I can't. He's gonna be a little kimono. He's gonna be a little kimono. He's gonna be a little Komodo dragon. Be a little lizard. Hornswoggle's going to be the Mexican Bull or something now with Los Waistador. It's just please don't. I can't even think about any of that. Okay, it shouldn't happen. But those are your title matches. I fully expect if we don't see Barrett versus Bryan for the IC title, I see Barrett versus Neville, obviously, Sheamus versus Ziggler to continue that feud if they don't do a tag match. And then, of course, it is what it is. You have your other 4 main guys in a world title match. So maybe they bring Macho Mandal out against Curtis Axel. So you have the Macho Man against Hulk Hogan. That would be pretty freaking cool to see. These guys just entertaining the masses by doing these 2 gimmicks that were completely over and awesome and are Hall of Fame gimmicks. I would pay good money to see those 2 matches go down. But I want Curtis Axel to come out to Real American consistently if that's going to be the case. We need Pomp and Circumstance for Macho Mandal, and I need a Real American for Curtis Axel. That would be really, really, really funny if that actually went down. I would like to see that. Bo Dallas probably going to do something to somebody while they're doing an interview. Maybe I don't know who. But that'll be something to throw in there. And we're going to get Bray Wyatt versus Ryback, which no one's super excited about that I can think of because no one's super excited about Ryback, which that's the thing. WWE's whole point of putting these two guys together is because they wanted Ryback to have someone credible to face and someone that can make it seem more important than necessary. And it's not as good as the promos are that Bray Wyatt's doing. It's not amping me up for the match because I just don't care about Ryback, and it's actually hurting Bray Wyatt in that sense, in my opinion, because everything that Bray Wyatt has done previously, even when he was working with Dean Ambrose and the program wasn't awesome, I was excited about it because I am excited about Bray Wyatt for the most part. Him working with Ryback, I'm not excited about it, so it makes me look at Bray Wyatt as a lesser competitor going into this pay-per-view. I don't like that whatsoever.
No.
I don't like it.
I'm not, and I'm a huge Wyatt fan, and I think Wyatt's probably the best character that they have altogether.
Period.
I mean, just a new style Undertaker, but in the same way, he's got to be so hard to write for because, and I understand what they're trying to give Ryback a little bit of a rub here, but how many times can we try to use Wyatt to give somebody else the rub and they don't get that rub? Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's Wyatt's fault. I don't think it's anything having to do with Wyatt.
Nobody likes Ryback.
Yeah, I just think that Ryback at this point is a lost cause until
past people wanting to say feed me more whenever he comes out. Just no one has any interest in Ryback at all.
Yeah.
No. Well, guys, thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us, everybody that watched. Thank you for always checking out our stuff on WrestlingRumors.net. Don't forget, Sam and Adam throw up some awesome video pieces left and right throughout the day about news stories that are coming out, and then they're reviewing. They reviewed the E60 documentary last week, which was awesome. Obviously, they review Raw every single Monday night immediately after the show goes off the air. You can hop on here and watch a good 10 to 15 minutes of them breaking down the show. And then, of course, you need to go over to Wrestle Reaction, check out Frank and Joe or whoever else is with them. But first, come to WrestlingRumors.net, check out Sam and Adam and their review. And then, of course, they review anything else that happens. They'll have a review Sunday night after the pay-per-view. And, of course, they'll be joining us for the Wrestling Warm-Up show before 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget about that. You can follow Sam on Twitter at LeadingNexus13, and you can follow Adam on Twitter at AdamDaily13. Of course, you can follow me at Doug O'Mac or at WrestleRumors. I'll be live tweeting throughout Raw tonight. Starts in about 20 minutes. So if you need something to eat or you need something else to go do it, and then we'll get to Raw and we'll have some fun talking about all the mistakes that the show makes and getting excited about the things they do right. Hopefully the program is as good as it was last week. They don't think that the numbers being so low had anything to do with what they did, because and I saw so many stupid reports from stupid people saying that the numbers were so low because the way the show was booked and the way it was laid out, which they obviously didn't watch the freaking show, because the show was super entertaining. I didn't feel like I watched anything for 3 hours. It felt like an hour and a half because everything flowed well. Everything made sense except for the Ryback stuff, being idiot. But everything seemed good and well done and well thought out and well planned out and well executed. And I want to see that again this week, because if they keep dropping the ball, because the Authority is supposed to return tonight, if they keep dropping the ball because numbers weren't as good, so we need to go back to what we were doing when numbers were okay, that doesn't make any sense to me. If you want numbers to consistently be good, with everyone that actually watched the show saying last week's Raw was really good, and they're on the internet left and right saying last week's Raw was really, really good, then more people are going to tune in this week. And the issue that I have with them looking at the ratings to determine what they do is you're going to have probably more eyes on the product tonight because last week was good, and then tonight's going to suck, and they're going to have good ratings for tonight because everybody heard that last week was good, so maybe this week will be good too. And then, they'll look at the numbers next week and go, hey, even though the fans were crapping on the show the whole night, we had eyes on the show, which was awesome. And then the next week they'll have a really good Raw, but no low numbers because the last week sucked. And it's going to be this revolving door of bullcrap. And I don't support everything Vince Russo says or does. I don't. But the one thing I can take from him that makes sense is him saying when he and Vince were writing the shows, when it was just three guys sitting around the pool, sitting at Vince's house writing the shows, each week was, how do we have a show that's better than last week, and what can we do to make it that way? And it's obvious right now they don't do it. Hopefully we get a good episode tonight, and you guys can live tweet to me about how awesome it is, just like it was last week, and we can have some fun. Until Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you've been watching Wrestling Room Up right here on WrestlingRumors.net. We love you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.